I'm meteorologist Gary Lezak with Weather 2020. We can put winter to rest finally. All right, it snowed this week. It's now 80 degrees here in Colorado. Crazy week again, but winter, goodbye. It was interesting for sure, to say the least. There's a river of air above us cycling regularly. Let me get through this report in about 5 or 6 minutes and read the rest at weather2020.substack.com. Become a member and you can read the entire report and stay in touch with what's going on. In this report, we're going to talk about the tropics as well and look at one of our key forecasts for this summer season. All right, let's start by taking a look at this first slide. You can see here, we can put winter to rest. What's next? Could a super El Nino be brewing? You're hearing a lot of hype about that. Right now, it may be a moderate or strong El Nino. And what does it mean, though? We'll talk about that here in this report. First of all, let's begin with that. El Nino's top in the news in some areas, but my goodness, it's still months away. Right now, at this moment, if you look closely, look at this arrow right here. All right, you see that? That means we're right at neutral this week as we go into May, all right? So right at neutral. So it's just now warming up. It becomes an El Nino when there's 5 3-month averages. May, June, July, August. 5 in a row that are plus 0.5 or higher. That makes it an El Nino. But look, the forecast from the CFS V2 model says it's going to warm up to 1.5 to close to 2 degrees. That would be a strong El Nino. Right now, this blue shows we've been in a La Nina during the winter. So a strong El Nino is forecast to develop. Official El Nino or La Nina events require those 5 consecutive 3-month averages. A strong El Nino increases the likelihood of a stronger southern jet stream with influences on hurricane season. A lower number, but there still could be some strong ones, which we'll go over that in a second. Overall, what does this mean? It means we wait till the LRC sounds of next fall. The LRC is the centerpiece of the big atmospheric jigsaw. So most forecasters rely on those fringe pieces. They don't even understand or count this. And it's the biggest piece of the puzzle. So we will be monitoring this very closely. All right, let's go back to our maps and show you now what's going on with our drought update. Okay, we're going to look at the drought update. This was March 3rd. Look at the drought conditions. California had no drought at the end of winter. But as we've gone through the spring months, it's dried out there. Look at Kansas. There was no drought, but watch what happens. See how it increases over the Rockies and West, but it decreases from eastern Kansas all the way to Ohio. See that? There is no drought from eastern Kansas and Missouri all the way to New York and up into Wisconsin and up in North Dakota. However, it has been drying out from North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, down across the winter wheat regions into western Kansas and then all the way down to Texas. And there's the wet area. This is the rainfall since spring began from eastern Kansas to the Great Lakes states, which were very wet. The south and east, dry. Wet conditions started happening in Texas and Southern California, dried out. In the next 15 days, our models are showing widespread rainfall across the Corn Belt. But look, some spots get missed. It's hit and miss in Iowa. All right, so we'll watch this closely. But right nearby, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches of rain possible in Minnesota, parts of North Dakota. And so we'll see. Bottom line is there's opportunities for rain. It's not just going to get hot. So what's lining up in the next 15 days? Tonight, look at the setup for tonight. This is about at 1 a.m. Sunday morning. If you're watching this Saturday, it's 1 a.m. tonight, Sunday morning. A front, there could be some strong to severe thunderstorms right in this zone. There is a small risk for severe weather and cooler air coming south. All right, I might see some interesting weather here in Colorado as this front moves through tonight. Strong to severe thunderstorms possible on Sunday farther south. Here's the risk of severe weather. A tornado risk later today in this small area of southwest Oklahoma, and then the risk shifts south on Sunday over Texas. And then there's not going to be a risk for a while, as the LRC would suggest. The LRC, speaking of which, where are we right now? Remember a few days ago, if you watched the last report or read through it, you see this trough right here, this extension? This is the flow at 18,000 feet up. See that? That is May 5th, when 7 inches of snow is falling near Golden, 24 inches around Estes Park, and 4.7 inches in Denver. Well, look, there's a similar extension, similar ridges and troughs. This was 153 days earlier, a long story, but it's about an 11-week cycle, right on schedule. And not coincidentally, it's not a coincidence, 7 inches of snow in Golden, 4.3 inches of snow in Denver. This time in Estes Park was only 5 inches, so there are differences. Look what happens next. I usually don't show the 384-hour 500 millibar flow. I usually don't show this because it's 384 hours, 16 days away. But you see this upper level low? Here's the west coast of the United States. You see this upper level low? You see this trough? And a big ridge leading to some heat, all right? Well, look what happened in the first cycle back in October, which is 225 days ago, 75-day cycle ago. This is what happened then. See these two upper lows? Very similar to what you're seeing here. So we are right on schedule as we go towards the end of May with this part of the pattern returning that will eventually bring severe weather at the end of the month to the plain states. So way above average temperatures is in the forecast for much of the country. However, with a caveat, in the next 2 weeks, there'll be big, huge warm-ups and cool-downs. Watch. Here's one of those warm-ups coming up a week from Sunday on May 17th. See that? 100 degrees in western Kansas. Very warm conditions spreading across the United States. But look what happens 2 days later. See that? Sunday to Tuesday the 19th. Much cooler air. But then watch what happens just a few days later. Back up to 100 degrees ahead of that big change we talked about. The LRC, well, the LRC model, and if you would like to have this in your tool chest, you can have this. I'll show you that in a second. Everyone, I think, should have it. Just one profitable decision will pay for it a year, and you're going to make 5 or 10 big profitable decisions for your business. And you can have this, and you can see this is the forecast from January, mid-January, that predicted the May 5th and May 6th snow in Colorado. In fact, it predicted 11 to 13 inches on this LRC model run. It also predicted the frost or freeze. I saw a forecast from our winter forecast that predicted this from way back in December. So it wasn't just a mid-February forecast. It was a way back in December forecast. So you can have it. Here is the latest forecast now through September for Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. So look, 5 inches of rain forecast by the LRC model, the only model in the world that uses cycles to predict the weather. LRC model forecasts up to 35 inches of rain over parts of Missouri and southeast Kansas. That's 60% of average rainfall to 150% of average rainfall. Farther north in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, still a struggle in South Dakota where it's a drought, and to no problem at all over Minnesota, 120% of average. This is the forecast from now to the end of September, and you can go a whole year ahead. If you are interested in it, I'll show you again how to get it. The tropical update, we showed you the names, and we're going to start with Arthur. Will there be an Arthur in June, or will it wait till August? All right, with El Nino developing, it could limit the number of tropical systems. Named storms 8 to 12 is our forecast, 14 is average, and 105 accumulated cyclone energy is below average for the season. And here is one of our key forecasts just now showing you. It's been in our guide. If you want the guide, you can go to weather2020.com as well. But early June to mid-August, early June is the first risk. We'll test out for Arthur. And then a mid-late August to early September risk. We're expecting this to form right in here around Jamaica. It could threaten Florida and Louisiana, but more likely Texas or Mexico, the way things are looking right now. Again, if you want that model, contact us, hello at weather2020.com. Hello at weather2020.com. Go to weather2020.com for more. So there you go. Hopefully that made sense. If there's any questions at all, just let me know. I'm meteorologist Gary Lezak. Next update will come in late Monday, as I'm going to be hitting the road for our road trip. Rainbow and Sunny's Great Adventure. More on that later. Have a great day, everybody.